A forest is not a race, the oak does not grieve its slow start, and the wildflower does not apologize for the season in which it chooses to bloom. Welcome back, friends. Do you feel the heavy, quiet ache of falling behind? We look at the glowing screens in our hands, watching the world sprint past us, celebrating early harvests and rapid successes. It leaves us exhausted, carrying the crushing weight of what they call the social clock 2.0, a phantom schedule demanding we have our careers, homes, and lives perfectly planted and flowering by a certain age. This milestone anxiety whispers a cruel lie, that if we haven't bloomed yet, we are stalling out. We feel worthless, terrified that we are entirely too slow for this world. But what if you aren't late at all? What if you are simply deeply rooting? Welcome to Soul Stories and Quotes. In a world that never stops moving, we invite you to pause. Rest your soul with us today, and let us discover the quiet wisdom of the wait. For most of her life, Anna Mary Robertson knew only the calloused rhythm of hard labor. Born in 1860, she spent decades as a farm wife, her days dictated by the unrelenting demands of the earth. Her hands scrubbed, planted, and harvested. She raised 5 children. Her only quiet solace was needlework, meticulously threading vibrant yarns into detailed, pastoral landscapes. But at 76 years old, a brutal winter settled into her joints. Severe arthritis made the fine, delicate pull of the needle excruciatingly painful. Her fingers curled and stiffened. The one creative sanctuary she possessed was suddenly frozen over. Because her earlier seasons were consumed by survival and the physical labor of domestic life, she never had the daylight to explore other arts. She had always wanted to paint, but she was simply too busy until she reached the twilight of her life. Encouraged by her sister, who suggested a gentle shift in the soil, that holding a paintbrush would be kinder to her hands than a tiny needle, Anna abandoned embroidery. She agreed to try, noting with a smile that painting a picture for a gift was certainly easier than baking a cake over a hot stove. At 78, she took her humble, idyllic landscapes and placed them in the dusty window of a local drugstore in Hoosick Falls, New York. They sat there. For 2 entire years, they gathered dust, completely unnoticed by the rushing world. Then, an art collector passing through town caught a glimpse of their nostalgic charm. He bought them all on the spot. He spent the next year pitching her work to skeptical galleries who told him she was too old, that her winter was ending and she would pass away soon. Yet, he persisted. At the age of 79, she was featured at the Museum of Modern Art. By her 80s and 90s, Grandma Moses was a global cultural icon, gracing the cover of magazine stands across the country. She lived to be 101, producing nearly 1,600 works, 25 of which were painted after she turned 100. Her story is an ancient anchor for our modern rushing. She did not force her spring. She allowed her deep rooting to happen over decades of quiet, unrecorded living. As the philosopher Lao Tzu reminds us, nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished. Growth follows the unhurried laws of the earth, not the frantic ticking of a digital clock. Sometimes, the seeds we plant in childhood are buried under the heavy stones of circumstance. Carl Allamby grew up in a neighborhood where medicine felt like a distant, impossible summit. He had never seen a black doctor in his community, and the soil he was planted in pushed him toward factory labor or the military. By 16, he was working in an auto parts store. By 19, he owned his own repair shop. For 25 years, Carl's hands were stained with engine grease. He built a thriving business, a loyal community of thousands. Yet, beneath the hood of his own life, a quiet dream remained dormant. He suffered from a subtle kind of career dysmorphia, a feeling that he was stuck in a good, but distant life. The childhood dream of becoming a physician felt as though it had been beaten out of him by the realities of his environment. At the age of 40, seeking to better manage his auto shop, Carl enrolled in college for a business degree. He viewed the required Biology 101 course as a nuisance and put it off until his final year. But within the first hour of sitting in that classroom, the dormant seed cracked wide open. He realized the diagnostic logic he used to fix failing engines, understanding complex systems to find a failure, was exactly what was needed to heal the human body. What followed was a grueling, decade-long academic marathon. Supported by his family, Carl tended his auto shop by day and took pre-med classes by night. In his mid-40s, he made a massive shift in his soil. He sold his business, auctioned his tools, and walked into medical school. At 51, the former mechanic walked into the emergency department at the Cleveland Clinic, not as a visitor, but as an attending physician. His waiting years were not wasted. The empathy, customer service, and trust he built over 2 decades of fixing cars became the very bedrock of his bedside manner in the ER. If you are looking at the calendar, feeling the heavy sorrow of a dream deferred, remember the words of George Eliot, "It is never too late to be what you might have been." Your past seasons are not delays. They are the forge for your character. To survive the modern world, we must practice timeline decoupling. We have to violently tear our eyes away from the phantom schedules and the social clocks that do not belong to us. The rush to prove ourselves by 30, or 40, or 50 is a man-made illusion. A true harvest cannot be rushed by panic. When we decouple our worth from our speed, we finally find peace. We realize that a delay in life's major markers, career, home, relationships, is often a necessary period of deep rooting. It is the earth preparing us to hold the weight of our eventual blooming. When you feel milestone exhaustion creeping in, and the world tells you that you are entirely too slow, hold on to this truth: a forest is not a race, the oak does not grieve its slow start, and the wildflower does not apologize for the season in which it chooses to bloom. Stop looking at the clocks of others. Trust the changing seasons of your own life. Give yourself permission to move at your own natural pace, stepping away from the hurry sickness of the soul. You are exactly where your roots need to be. As you begin to trust the timing of your own unique season, remember that the fruit you bear is only possible because of the unshakable ground you stand upon. Often, we feel worthless not because of who we are, but because we mistakenly believe we are late. If you still hear that inner whisper telling you that you are not enough because you are not there yet, our previous journey into embracing your true self may be the anchor you need today to step out of the rush and back into your power. Thank you for walking this path with us. Let's keep growing together.